Dantana.
Yeah. We are live. Feels like I haven't done a live stream in 7.5 years.
It does. It really does.
Dude, life's been so busy, but I knew I had to get back on the saddle and do a stream, man. It's been too long.
Glad to have you back.
Well, thanks for being here, Maximus. I got B with me, too. What's up, gentlemen? How we doing?
Good evening.
Salute to B, salute to Maximus.
Good as always.
Yeah, man. And good to have the people in the live chat, actually. So I went ahead and I'm trying this new tool. It's in the chat. And it's like a super chat goal or something. It's like a target. And it's like try to reward your audience so that if they do hit the goal, then you do something special for them. So here's what I came up with, Max. Check this out.
All right, let's see it.
I wanted to make it memorable. So if we hit the super chat goal of 10 super chats tonight, I'm going to do a Q&A session live, but I'm going to do it while blowing up your favorite network or least favorite network with 1 terabyte of usage, including 4K video resolution playback and speed testing.
Damn.
What do you think, Max?
Oh, I get to choose the network?
Yeah.
Oh, you put so much pressure on me. I don't know which one I'm doing.
And I got access to all of them, so we could do some damage. You know, I got a business line on, I think, like 2 or 3 of the networks. One of the networks doesn't even have business lines, so I can't do it on that one. You know, Dish. Charlie doesn't do business. So
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'll decide by the end of the stream and I'll let you know. But if the people in the chat want to drop their suggestions, I can make my decision. Did Carlos text AT&T yet with the blow up, or was it just Verizon and T-Mobile? I know he did Verizon and T-Mobile.
I think AT&T was the strictest. I think they didn't even send him a notification. They just cut him off.
Oh, I thought that was Verizon.
No, Verizon sent him a notification. It was 2 months late, but they did send him one.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like I don't want to get you like cut off of anything.
Well, I'm not doing it on my personal lines. I will not. So
yeah. Well, I'll decide by the end of the show, I guess, if it's up to me. It's a lot of pressure you're putting on me, though.
Why the hell not? Maybe B can get involved in that decision too. So we'll see what he says at the end of the show. Green, what up, man? Thank you for the super chat. Longtime member and supporter of the channel. He's asking, did you see my T-Mobile LT results? You know, I'm always surprised at how LT still, to this day, you know, finds a way to be meaningful for so many people. And of course, in a world where the LTE and 5G is more of a fusion combination, because you still have NSA 5G connections and things of that nature, and some people still have an iPhone 11 and an iPhone 10, apparently, you know, and you know, don't forget about the S9s of the world. People still got those, dude. It's wild, but they're holding on for dear life, man. So LT is still a thing. So shout out to Green, thank you, man, and salute to EM Tech too with a super chat. Offered my support here to say, T maybe stank. That would be like a good band name, T maybe stank. But thanks, EM, appreciate it, man. And thanks everybody for being here. Please do like and share the video on your way in. All right, we're 8.5 minutes in. Enough of the pleasantries. We are here. Let's go ahead and actually start Oh, Ascending says, I see customers with iPhone 7 still. Come on, dude. Oh my
Bruh.
God. I know, dude. It's just at some point, it's like, they're giving away free phones.
Yeah.
And they're just dying to get you guys off of those 7s and
It's like some people just don't care. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. All right, I want to start with this one, actually. Let me put this up here real quick. I want to tell the folks about this. Tell the folks about the deal for Mint Mobile. So everybody knows that we have a long-standing partnership with Mint Mobile, and the reason why we've partnered with them and why we feel so good about really pushing the brand is the fact that they offer these incredible deals. It gives great value to the customer because if you are looking just strictly for the best deal in wireless service, it's really hard to beat them. The pricing structure that they have, the network access that they give you, it's really, really fair. And you're getting really good customer service. You know what you're getting into. The terms are very explicit, and you're not really left asking for more, right? Because everything is upfront, everything is direct, and there's nothing hidden. And as long as you're good with some of the things that come with these plans, I could see people really enjoying it and just really taking advantage of the deal. So what we've always been trying to kind of push is people to try Mint, and the 3-month deal has been great for people. Unlimited, the unlimited version of the plan at $15 a month for 3 months. So basically, $45 is what you would pay. The tax and the fees included probably take it closer to $50. But for 3 months of service, I mean, there are people who pay double that for 1 month at T-Mobile, right? So you would be essentially, paying half the price for 3 times the service, right? And just in terms of having you covered for those 3 months. Well, now they've gotten rid of a pain point, which is, well, how do I get a similar deal, but for a longer duration? So I want you guys to look at the bottom right-hand corner, and you'll see the limited time offer, 50% off on the unlimited plan, and they're doing it for the full 1-year term for 12 months. So, this is what people have been asking for. They wanted it for more than 3 months. So now they're giving it to you, the 12-month package. So you'd be paying $180 plus tax and fees up front, works out to $15 a month, covers you for 12 months on the Mint Mobile Unlimited plan. I don't think there's a better deal in wireless, even based on promotional offers currently as it stands with the way that unlimited plan is structured. So, Max, what's your take on this? Because you really are in tune with value and the brands, the value brands, and what this deal brings to the table.
No, that absolutely is an incredible deal, getting unlimited. And it is up to 40 gigs of data before you're slowed down. But even for 40 gigs, which is more than most people use, 15 a month with the T-Mobile network and your access on that and stuff, that is an incredible offer. And it is for the first year. So after that first year, maybe you'll want to shop around, maybe you'll want to stick to Mint, but the point is that first year for sure, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was a point of contention before. It was like, you got this great deal for 3 months, and then you were shopping again, right? And you couldn't just like re-up for 3 months with Mint, right? You were an existing customer at that point, so you didn't qualify for the new customer offer. So the deals you guys see on the left-hand side, the new customer offer for the 3-month, now you can kind of just go ahead and just jump all the way in. The unlimited plan, 50% off for the year. I mean, just think about that, right? You're going to pay for a year of service and not have to think about it till December or January of next year. And this deal actually is only good until January 2nd. I think that's the duration of the promo. I just want to check the terms real quick to see if there's anything I missed. Yeah, so deal is only available until January 2nd, 2025. So once the new year turns, if you want this deal, you better jump on it quick. It'll take you through the 12 months of service, and then you'll probably just, at that point be looking for a new promotion or a similar price plan. I'm not sure, what Mint's going to have on the table at that point, but they have been very competitive, and they do want to add customers, and they want to grow, and they love giving people deals. and that's why we partner with them. Our partner link is in the description if you're interested. That supports our channel. It helps you save money. It's a win-win situation. All right, guys. Kind of transitioning over to some of the content here with the show. I actually want to start with this story. And this one looks not good for cable, and specifically, I guess more so Comcast. Expected to shed another 100,000 broadband subs, which I don't know if you guys have been following the whole cable versus fixed wireless access saga as I've been covering it through my channel. Fixed wireless access has been taking over 100% of the gross ads in the industry, right? And that's like no small feat, right? To take more than your actual existence of customers. So that means they're getting new customers, they're getting cable customers. Fixed wireless access has been really beating up on cable. Now, according to Comcast, they're expecting additional losses in Q4. Q4 is, we're still in the heart of it. In fact, you're kind of like in the holiday season portion of it where people are going to be shopping and they're still looking for deals, and I mean, they're already projecting losses for the quarter. That doesn't look good, sound good. I'm sure that when this news was dropped, and this was December 9th, so it would have been a week ago, the stock price probably dipped, right? It says here Comcast shares were down almost 9% Monday afternoon trading, so probably in response to that. They had some losses due to the ACP program losing funding. Throw in this type of projection or whatever. I'm not a big fan of Comcast as a company. I'm not a big fan of cable as it stands, right? So, I mean, no love lost there. But fixed wireless access is really kicking their ass. And I know Comcast is still growing its network. I know they still want to increase the reach in which they offer, fiber or cable or whatever the situation may be. I know they're building new fiber. I know they're upgrading their DOCSIS technologies and all these other mid splits and whatever else. And I know they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with their media piece and shopping and selling and whatever else they're doing, but it's pretty damning to see that you've got to come out in the middle of a quarter and prepare the investor for additional losses. B, I want to get you in on this.
Well, I mean, it's more of the same. We already knew that our cable was going through some tough times. They're being competed against really, really hard, not just with fixed wireless, but also with fiber from other providers. So, I mean, they're in a dogfight, and that's just kind of what it is at this point. That's just what it is, Sneed. This is just par for the course, in my opinion. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. So.
But I think that's the point, is like there was a moment in time where the story being told from Comcast was, hey, fixed wireless access is just a temporary parking lot. The surge that they're getting is going to be short, brief. Those customers are going to be back. And then the story shifted from big cable, from temporary parking lot to quote unquote, they're just nibbling at the bottom, which they completely disrespected and de-emphasized the consumer that was shopping for a better deal or wanted to leave big cable because of treatment or explosive pricing or, just a inability to provide a quality, reliable service. I mean, there's 7 things a customer might want to leave an internet provider, right, to go to some other one. And some of those customers have such disdain for cable. I mean, they were happy to leave and they'll probably never go back. I mean, if they don't have to, right? If they could help it. So we've been fed a lot of disingenuous commentary from leadership at Big Cable. And I know they're trying to spin a story of, oh, it's cellular internet. They call it cell phone internet. They try to downplay the FWA, but in my opinion, B, it only makes them look worse. They sit there and disrespect the service. They disrespect the customers who take the service. I mean, hell, the CEO even said, who would have thought there was a segment of customer that wants crappy internet? Like they say these things. It's crazy. So if I'm a customer, a fixed wireless access, I'm never going back to this company if I can help it.
Well, I think Big Cable kind of expected what happened in the past. There's nothing new under the sun, and this is the same. This isn't the first time that the wireless industry has tried to offer a home internet solution via wireless networks. Only back then, there wasn't a sufficient amount of spectrum to support that particular service at the performance level that customers would expect from a reliable home broadband provider. Now that's changed. There's a sufficient amount of spectrum to be able to keep people happy, and it's reasonably priced. The installation and all that good stuff, the activation and whatnot, is very easy, very seamless compared to what they may or may not have been used to from other providers. It is a perfect storm for a big cable. And it's just there's not a whole lot that they can do to defend um, their market share outside of strengthening their network, coming up with a better value proposition financially for the consumer, and then going out there and just fighting and battling hard. That's all that they really can do at this point, in my opinion.
All right, Max, let's get you in on this last piece here relative to the story. The take from Charter and Spectrum, to kind of spin off a little bit. He said all we really have to do is remind and tell the customer they're not getting a great deal at fixed wireless access providers. Not only are they not getting as great a deal as they think they are because they're overpaying for wireless, they can give them cheaper deals at big cable, but they're also saying they're getting a crappier service, and they're saying that we can beat it with marketing and advertising. Do you think that's true? Can they actually do that? Like, can they just tell the customer, you're overpaying, come back to big cable, get your wireless from us, and all of those types of things? Do you think that's a legitimate thing, or do you think it's just more smoke and mirrors from cable?
I just think it's more smoke and mirrors. Cable's dying, fixed wireless is growing exponentially. I don't really have much more to add than that. And, we've seen this with Sprint and now US Cellular. When a company is doing badly, when a company's about a bust, they start throwing out the crazy promos. They start doing stuff they could have never thought they would have done before. Like, this is the first thing you see when you go to the Xfinity website. If you look at the screen share, this is the first thing on the Xfinity website. $200 Amazon gift card. Like, I just went to xfinity.com and right there. And then 300 megabit internet and an unlimited phone line, $30 a month for a year. 5G phone on us. 300 back per line, 500. All this is free stuff, cheap deals, free money, whatever. They're not even talking about benefits of their service. It's just deals. That's all it is. This is the homepage of Xfinity's website.
Yeah.
So if there's any other indicator that you need that maybe cable's not doing so well, there you go.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let me get this back in here, but I want to take this super chair. Another one from Green. Salute, Green. Thank you, man. What are your thoughts on how AT&T performed at F1? Did it surprise you how they performed there? Do you think T-Mobile will put mmWave for next year at F1? So to kind of take the first part, I thought AT&T performed decent based on what Carlos showed us. As long as service is good enough, we can say that service is acceptable. The problem is, as we know, usage patterns tend to show increases, more demand, right? Overtime, things of that nature. So you always want to kind of try to be a couple steps ahead of the game. You don't want to be reactive. You want to be proactive. So good for them for this year, but I'm sure there's probably more work to be done in and around the venue. Now, did it surprise me that they performed pretty good? Not really. AT&T has the chops. It's always been whether or not they've been focused on the wireless network build specifically in certain places. Vegas is not a place where you can rest. It just doesn't work that way. 10 million unique visitors on a weekly basis. Your network has to be strong. I think the standard is Verizon in the case of Vegas, and I think the carriers need to follow that blueprint, in my opinion. And do you think T-Mobile put mmWave for next year at F1? Apparently, they had mmWave at F1. The problem is they have not enabled dual connectivity between their mid-band channels, low-band channels, and their mmWave. Verizon has been leveraging that technology for several months. They've been able to utilize it in those crucial situations, and customers have benefited as well as the company's network performance. So it's interesting that the 5G leader was the 5G follower in this case, but actually the 5G lagger, right? You would think that the company that says that they have 5G leadership and they've got all these features and these advancements didn't use a tool that is so crucial to making sure that folks are connected to both mid-band channels and millimeter wave channels. I thought that was ironic. I don't know about this whole layer cake talk that they used to have. I think they've deserted it for the most part. And honestly, you know, like I said, I think Verizon is I think that is the blueprint for success in a market like Vegas. They're showing people how to do the network. They're showing people how to do millimeter wave and C-RAN and fiber and all those things. I just don't understand what these guys were thinking. How did they overlook a technology as simple and straightforward as dual connectivity? You know, getting millimeter wave and mid-band channels to aggregate, to work together, to enhance the connections. I just don't understand. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and transition over to this next one. And this one, I guess it's a kind of a spinoff of cable as well, kind of stay in this lane, I suppose. All right, so this one's kind of, I guess, the charter side of things, and this one's kind of I guess different, right? This one brings in satellite talk. All right, so Charter CEO says that satellite has an edge in rural areas. All right, so the thing about satellite and what it's going to do, and people make sure you understand this concept. There's never going to be a version of satellite that's going to carry the bulk of wireless network usage. It's just not, it's not going to do it. It's never going to happen. The terrestrial network, when we talk about cell towers and stuff like that, the ones that you see on the light poles, the ones you see on the big steel beams in the sky, that's how things are done. It's fiber circuits, it's large antennas and radios. That's how you cover the country. There's places where it's really hard to get fiber circuits and it's really hard to build towers, and the return on the investment doesn't make sense. So the companies might say, well, there's this 50-mile stretch out in the middle of the highway in Wyoming, and we don't want to build $1 million tower there, and we can't even get fiber there. Let's just get customers some calling, texting, and light data usage through satellite if they decide they're going to pass through there for 30.5 seconds, right? And that's where I think this is coming from. I think the CEO of Charter obviously sees some kind of a advantage where we can offer connectivity within rural places where there just isn't a lot of usage, right? And he goes on to talk about the rural footprint and, you know, hell, if it wasn't for subsidies and these big companies getting tax dollars, would these companies even be building fiber and cable over there? You know, would they even bother building these whatever, you know, $1 million plants and $1 million cell towers, and like, would it even be worth the time, right? Putting in the all the work that it's going to take to do it. So,
No,
I'm not
no, it wouldn't.
right, and that's kind of how I'm looking at it now. Cable, for what it's worth, you know, big cable sells wireless now, and big cable, you know, they're probably looking at it like, what's going to be the cheapest and most effective way for us to increase our reach, and specifically looking at Charter and Spectrum and Comcast too. But B dollars going into any of this build makes things interesting because they'd be getting paid to some extent to build the networks directly, along with, you know, customers paying for service or what have you. But I thought this was kind of interesting. It looks like cable is kind of sweet on the idea of rural areas and satellite potentially being a thing. Let me start with B on this because B has been a bear on satellite connectivity. B, what's your take?
Well, I would like to correct you, Sneed. I haven't been a bear on satellite technology at scale. I've been a bear on satellite as a RAN technology solution. I'm in favor of it as a backhaul. I think it makes a lot of sense to be able to provide something like that in places where it's very challenging to get fiber. And you know, building a fiber circuit doesn't make sense. I think a satellite backhaul solution makes perfect sense. I think that's a great asset for the telco industry and the MNOs to use to be able to get connectivity in tough to serve areas. I think it's great for that. I just don't think satellite is very good as a RAN solution. And what I mean by that is eliminating the terrestrial network, or taking away terrestrial uh, assets, frequencies, channels to be able to use satellite as a RAN solution. I hope that makes sense. But as a backhaul solution, oh, absolutely. I think that's great. Makes a lot of sense.
Tana, do you think there's ever going to be a version of Charter Spectrum Mobile, the wireless service, going away from Verizon and just going with satellite connectivity?
I don't know. That's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling. That's switch up in a hot minute.
That would be crazy. I
think they'd be foolhardy to do it, because there's no way it will work as well as a terrestrial network would. And if they're going to do that, I think they would regret that decision. Period.
Well, we'll see. You know what I'm saying? I don't know yet. We'll see.
Would that be something worth paying for if Charter Inc. to deal with satellite service, and then it became like an add-on or something like that, and they just sold it to people for $5 or $10 a month as like an extra fee or something like that? Or maybe it'd be backup. Maybe they'd send you a small dish, right? If wireline services went down and then you had this little backup dish all the time,
right?
For a business or something, I could see that use case.
And what's been wild about TV is a lot, even like sports is going back to satellite TV now. Some regular channels and everything now. So it's crazy. I was just watching wrestling on NBC on Channel 5 instead of, USA or something like that. So
there's industry changes happening all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. So it ain't no telling. I understand how you feel, but it ain't no telling. We just got to see.
I don't see pay for TV coming back right now. That's still on the outs. So even if, the cable industry decides to do something like that, I'm not sure the consumers will flock to it, because right now they're streaming. And from a technological standpoint, somebody's just got to prove to me how a satellite connection is ever going to be better than a terrestrial one or a fiber one. The fastest way to get from point A to point B is still the speed of light. So until someone breaks that code for me scientifically, I stand where I stand. I think that the American people have become accustomed to a fiber solution and to a wireless solution via spectrum. And I don't think the satellite is going to be anything more than an add-on to that particular capability. So are we going to be able to use satellite for maybe some calling, maybe some texting? Absolutely. But this is a data country. It is. It's a data country. And so it's because of that, because of how people consume because of how people consume, their information and whatnot and their video. That's just the way it is. I can't see satellite ever being a better solution than the speed of light. I really can't.
I feel you. I didn't see a plane being faster than the Concorde was before they shut it down. But guess what? Tesla just invented a plane that can get from here to Paris in 2 hours, bro.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like
that's going to be in 20 years.
That's not a scientific breakthrough though. Like that's not beating the speed of light.
Oh, yes,
no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not.
From Chicago to Paris? Yes.
Hold on,
but that's not. So what I'm saying is that's not a scientific breakthrough, and that it's not beating the speed. Like, so what's faster from point A to point B? What's faster than the speed of light? Nothing. Like there's nothing that's
a baby mama. How about that?
Say again?
You said a baby mama.
Okay, no comment on that one. No comment on that
one. Go ahead. You're right. Go ahead. G.
But no, like real talk. Like there's nothing that we've seen that's faster than the speed of light. And so until the time comes where that code gets cracked, I can't ever believe satellite will be a replacement for a wireless connection or a fiber to the prim, fiber to the X, fiber to the cell, fiber, whatever. I just can't see it. I can't see it, Tanner. I can't see it.
Yeah. And Tesla just discovered portals.
Right. Tanner, anytime Tesla talks about anything that they're about to do, just expect for it not to happen, because it's gonna take them longer than your lifetime to actually make it.
Hey, Max, I know that it takes around 2 hours for the car to charge up, but we got hope.
No, I'm buying a Tesla. Like I want to get a Tesla car, but like anytime they talk about a future product or anything that they're creating, just don't even bother worrying about it. It's gonna take them too long.
You getting a robot though? You getting a Tesla bot?
Yeah, you gonna get one of those, Max?
I'm getting one
Nah.
of
What are you gonna have it to?
those. I ain't more. No
Yo,
more.
they making Rosie like on the Jetsons.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Right here. It's gonna be like personal security. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? You can put a black
Okay.
shirt on it.
Yep.
Security.
Yep.
And I bet you that thing gonna connect via fiber to the internet.
Yeah, it's gonna be walking around with a
Yeah,
cable
Wi-Fi.
connected to it.
Funny.
All right, guys. Let's do this. Let's do this next story here. And actually, real quick, Speed Test channel with the super chat. Thank you, man. 12 months since I found the SMT YouTube channel, my favorite tech channel. Keep up the great work. Thanks, man. Salute to you, and thanks for supporting us all this time, man. Thank you.
Man, get good taste.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting us. All right, this one here. AT&T's copper retirement goals are realistic according to analysts. All right, so the time frame for this shuttering of the legacy tech, we're basically talking about, old telephone lines. We're talking about old DSL. AT&T just doesn't want to service it. They don't want to sell it anymore to anybody. In fact, you can't even sign up for the service. It's been a couple years. So if you had it, they've been letting you keep it, but they're trying to get people off of it as much as possible. They've been trying to get people on the internet air service. They've been trying to get people on fiber, obviously, where they deploy the fiber. But we learned a couple of things at the conference that they had over at AT&T Stadium. I thought this was crazy. John Stankey said that they're going to have 50 million passings of fiber. They also mentioned that only 50% of their current wireline footprint is getting fiber, which means that 50% of it with this old legacy copper, they're just retiring the copper. They're not going to have any wireline replacing that area. So they're not even going to go in and bore. They're not even going to go back into those, into those pipes, go back into the conduit and put in fiber. They're just basically saying, look, if we have towers that are upgraded, you could try the internet air service. For the phone line, I think there's like some kind of a phone service that they're going to offer. It'll be wireless as well. They're not going to even bother putting fiber in half of those areas where they currently have old legacy tech. So this is the only state that's the exception is California, because I think AT&T is the carrier of last resort. So they have to, by regulation of the California Public Utilities Commission, they can't shut down the copper there. They're going to have to continue to operate it and maintain it. But, I thought about this story and I thought about kind of like how analysts look at this. The analysts and the investor community is like, we can't wait for them to shut down the copper. That stuff is expensive to continue to maintain. There's no upside. There's no benefit. Like fiber has at least efficiencies in the operation. Yes, it's expensive to build it, but once it's built, it's the ultimate in connectivity. It is the gold standard of connections, and they can charge more for it than they can for DSL, right? You get a customer on a 1 gig service with AT&T fiber, it's like $85 or $100. They were selling DSL for $55, and it was costing them so much to keep up with it. So I totally get this from the analyst standpoint. They want to see this stuff shuttered as soon as possible. 2029 seems like forever from now, but guys, seriously, 4 years. I mean, think about it. When I started creating content on my channel, it was like 2016 or something, so like time flies. Like we may have a 10-year anniversary here on our hands with my channel. You know what I mean? So a lot happens in just a few years. So I don't know what you guys think about this time frame, 2029. I know it's legacy, and I know maybe not everybody's really following this, but there are some people who have been using AT&T's DSL service. There's no way they're happy about this unless AT&T is coming in with fiber. So B, let me start with you, man. You're the closest one here on the panel. Go ahead.
It's unfortunate that AT&T is being required to support a technology that nobody wants anymore. It's problematic. It's a drain on their business. But again, this is just another example where regulators are just out of touch and don't really understand the industries that they're being tasked with regulating. And it's just really, really unfortunate. I don't think that California is so poorly covered with fiber and with wireless assets that people just significant swaths and pockets of people just have no option at all. I refuse to believe that. I'm not saying that particular scenario doesn't exist at all, but I don't think we're talking about huge swaths of people that just have no access. I refuse to believe it. So it's just unfortunate. Again, it's another situation where, government's forcing, a company within the telco industry to kick the can down the road as opposed to allowing them to turn off an asset that really can't even be supported. How are you going to maintain an asset where, equipment manufacturers don't even make parts for them anymore? It doesn't even make sense. But again, government, most of the time, government officials don't know that, nor do they care. They're just trying to appease what they think their constituents may or may not want. This is unfortunate, and it's dragging, delaying progress for no reason.
And Tana, when was the last time, if you can remember? Because I know you've obviously you're a Midwest guy, and
yeah,
I know you're a big city guy, so like you've had access to high-speed broadband for several years. But can you remember a time when you had DSL service or
what was that?
really old kind of
02,
dial-up speed
03?
stuff?
Yeah, 02, 03.
What you remember how crappy that was, Doug?
Yeah. It took a minute to log on and everything, bro. I remember all that. Yeah.
And in your line of work, I mean, efficiency, the transfer of files, and
bro,
I mean, just connect, and now like connecting to the cloud and getting things moved around. I mean, just think about like for these folks, right? Like, what are they thinking of themselves? Like, my last resort of connectivity is about to get decommissioned, and nobody's got anything going for me.
Exactly. He's just it used to take at least an hour and a half to send a MP3 or WAV file back then, or whatever music file it is, just one. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I guess I don't blame AT&T for making that move, but for people who depended on that copper or whatever, no, it sucks for them. I guess they just gonna have to step up. And
you know what they're gonna have to do, Tana? They're probably gonna have to look into Starlink, right?
True.
They're probably gonna have to look into like a satellite provider that can give them 100 megabits or something. Like, I mean, hell, if they were dealing with DSL, they'd be happy with 50 probably.
I forget about all about DSL until y'all just mentioned it on this podcast right here.
I mean, because I'm thinking legacy technologies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, fellas, I mean, who's to say they don't have access to a wireless solution? I mean, at this point, who's to say they don't?
I'm saying if they don't. Yeah, right. If they got FWA from one of the big guys, AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon, I think that's where you go first.
Right. Well, why can't? So obviously, we're talking about copper being expensive to maintain. Why can't AT&T just build out wireless in those locations?
I mean, I think that's the end game, but I mean, let's keep it real, bro. Nobody's inspired by AT&T's 5G plus build.
Right. Well, and I get that, but I mean, they're talking about 2029. I watched that entire investor conference. I actually thought they were crazy when they were saying 2029, because like, how many individual homes are served by copper but not wireless? Like, maybe, like, what are we thinking?
I think they gave the number.
That number is decreasing. That number is decreasing every day.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think they gave the number though. I think I'm gonna see if I wrote it down. I'll get it to you guys.
Maybe 100,000 at the very most.
I'm trying to think about when was the last time I connected to Ethernet to my computer or anything.
I think it was 9 million people. Max.
That's 9 crazy. No, I don't know if that's true. 9 million.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm looking for. I wrote it down. I legitimately wrote down that exact number, and I thought it was crazy.
Yeah,
I got it.
Okay, here it is.
It's crazy.
You got it.
Here's the numbers. Here it is.
You got it. Hey, let's hear it.
Current wireline passes 90 million locations. No fiber. Well, okay, and then he went in to talk about the 50% footprint getting fiber, which means 50% doesn't get it. Where the hell's that other?
Right.
So 45 million copper passings not getting fiber, but how many of those are getting wireless? Because AT&T has been notoriously slow at expanding Internet Air to more of their markets. That's their fixed wireless product.
This was T-Mobile talking to Verizon. I'd be more, positive toward it.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, but I mean, and it's like no wonder it's taking them until 2029.
Right.
Internet Air is available in like 30 markets.
Exactly. Well, that's crazy. And speaking of Verizon, B, you're gonna be mad at me in a minute. I'll tell you.
Oh, man.
Quit
Here we
laughing,
go.
Sneed.
I know where this is going, bro.
Tana, lay it. Tana, say it.
Say it, Max.
Yeah. Tana,
Well,
go for it.
Well, no more Verizon Xfinity Mobile for me. I made the switch to Boost Mobile.
Damn, they got him with the iPhone deal.
Man, got a free
Damn.
iPhone 16,
Tana,
bro.
Tana, I saw that. I saw that on
You saw
X.
that, G?
I saw you posted that.
Oh, my man. That's right. That's right. You sure did. Yeah, man. So,
Man, you'll be switching again in a few years when they go out of business.
you funny as hell. And the
When
funny
they go
thing,
out,
huh?
when they go out of business, man, you're gonna have to switch again.
Damn, he's calling for the
I
company.
don't think so,
man.
because in the studio where I work at, man, we have horrible reception, right? So when I was with Xfinity Mobile, man, I couldn't get no good reception. Nobody could, but with this Boost, crystal clear, nothing wrong with it at all.
Hey, you know what EM's about to say? He's
up?
about to say, yeah, it's gonna be awesome because there's like 4 people on the network.
That's
Yep.
beautiful. That's even better.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
think
Hey
that's
man,
better?
it's a short-term solution. A few years you'll be looking again. But I mean, hey man, if you're happy, I'm happy. I mean, that's really what
right.
matters the most.
Understatic.
But yeah, man, if you're
Yeah,
happy, I'm happy. So that's good for you. But
But hey,
the best 2 connections in the industry are either with Verizon's millimeter wave or on
Yeah.
Boost. Nobody's on it, bro.
All right. It's a
Yeah.
wide open network for you. Just a
Right.
network to yourself.
said that Verizon, yeah, that you said a millimeter wave.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I wasn't getting. I was getting a centimeter wave or something.
There you go. Now you got the kilometer wave.
No. All right, guys. Let's pivot. All right, 45-minute marker. We're almost there. All right,
All right,
this
boss.
one, this one's kind of, I think, speculative, but it would be pretty big if it was to happen. All right, so Dano writes the story for light reading. AT&T could buy more AWS-3 spectrum next year. Let's see what he's got to say on this. According to Blair Levin, who is a policy advisor, this is one of the most connected people in the industry, says AT&T is the most likely, when referencing an auction of some AWS-3 spectrum next year. AT&T would bid heavily into that spectrum. It has less mid-band spectrum than peers, suggesting it will have the strongest appetite for the license in re-auction. If I remember correctly, if this is with the AWS-3, I think it is, this is the AWS-3 that Dish had to relinquish because they tried to play the FCC, hiding their business name as an LLC or a small regional provider to get some kind of like a discount through the government subsidy program. They got caught and they had to give it up. If I remember that this is that particular spectrum. But you know, I think about AT&T's current position, and I think about how valuable this spectrum is. These spectrum licenses, the AWS ones, were the ones that actually ushered in like high resolution video on our smartphones. It was AWS. So if you think back to like 2014, 2015, that's when we started watching videos on our phones all the time. That's when like all the apps, the video apps started taking off. The video calling started taking off. You know, remember Vines, and you know, after that it was like TikTok and all that. It was the AWS-3 spectrum that brought that to the table because it was high powered, it had good reach, it worked indoors, but we had bandwidth in the channels. Right? So like 20 megahertz of band 66 and all those things. Now this particular spectrum, if it becomes available, this guy's saying AT&T is the most hungry. Moose, you just came in here. There's a moose sighting, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think, sir, about this story?
We got a moose sighting. By the way, just so you know, I'm on my way to El Paso right now. Testing out T-Mobile right now, this leg of the stretch. But you know, Boston, Chicago, New York City. Okay. New York City, the #1 market in terms of population. Chicago, arguably number 3 or 4 now, because it seems like Dallas is more populous than Chicago, and Boston is in the top 15. At least top 15.
Oh, they done moved up, huh?
At least top 15, right? Boston,
Right.
I don't know exact numbers,
Okay.
but it's definitely going to go for several $1 billion. Several. I can almost guarantee it.
I agree.
And it all depends on how many megahertz we're talking about. If it's only 15 megahertz that's up for grabs, and it's contiguous with the 10 that's already on air with AT&T,
Right.
oh man, they're gonna
And
go hard.
But here's the thing, Moose: are the radios that are up on the network now capable of going beyond?
Yes, and I'll tell you how. Do you guys remember during the true pandemic, like 2020?
Yeah, they were using additional licenses. That's right.
They did the additional AWS megahertz frequencies. Even AWS-4, Verizon and AT&T split it in New York City. They did a test of it, and obviously they deployed it. The majority of the Nokia radios back in the day, right? Because remember, that was Nokia. Back in the day. Yeah. They were able to do both AWS-3 and AWS-4, and on average, both Verizon and AT&T increased their average speed by 40 Mbps back then.
And that's with
usage. Right, and that was with usage. But then in the present day, if you were to do that same thing, it would be way more than 40%. Because if I remember correctly, Ricky and I, we did and Zero Cool, we did a mathematical calculation, okay? With the technologies that are the new baseband units and putting it on NR, right? And the additional carrier aggregation, it actually is going to be closer to a 35% increase in capacity, not just a 30 to 40 Mbps. Okay.
So the technology and it's all come together.
Well, I mean, you also have to think about it. You're gonna have to push AWS all to NR in order to get the full capabilities. Because now instead of only getting a 10 by 10 slice, you're now pushing close to a 30 by 30 slice. That's actually pretty good.
I think for AT&T's sake, it's the fact that they already have the radios up on these sites. It's instant capacity.
Instant. And that's what Stanky was saying, right? Is that like it's cheaper to add additional megahertz to an existing site because the radio's already there, everything's ready to go. You're just reconfiguring these frequencies that it's transmitting versus buying 3.1, because first of all, we don't even know when 3.1 is coming, and number two, it's going to require a new radio and a new antenna. Same thing with 4.9. It's going to take some time to go to every single cell site, climb it, all that stuff. But if you already have AWS-3/AWS-4 radios on all the Ericsson cell sites, then you're ready to go.
Moose, can we confirm that this was the dish spectrum that was taken from them?
Oh yeah. You mean the ones that they never deployed? Yeah.
No, it's the ones that were taken from them because they scammed the FCC under a fake business name, fake rural provider.
That's right.
Well, it was a real provider, but they did it through another company, and really it was for themselves, right? So, like, is this
Charlie?
Do we know if that's the spectrum? Yeah,
it could be possible. Yeah.
Let me get B in on this. B, is it going to be just that simple and easy that AT&T is just it's a slam dunk? They're going to take it.
Man, we'll see.
Do you think that they're the most likely, or do you think there's other companies that are going to be involved? I mean, AT&T deploys this, so does Verizon, so does T-Mobile. I mean, Dish might want to get back in. I don't know where the capital is going to come from, but you got to think that there's going to be competition if this is going to get auctioned.
Well, Dish doesn't have the money, but I think that Verizon would most certainly want to come in and try to see if they can, compete to get some of this. They already have some AWS-3, so it's not going to be AT&T by themselves. It's not.
How about T-Mobile? You think they get involved?
Maybe. I mean, they're scratching for money too. I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would at least try.
I don't know, man. They're generating a lot of free cash flow, man. I think they got it to burn.
Oh, stop it, Sneed. This is the first year they've been profitable.
I mean, but it's sizable. They did more than $5 billion free cash flow last quarter.
True, but this is the first year they've been able to get meaningful cash flow. So that's why I say
this version of T-Mobile or the old one.
What's the difference?
No, this one is happening now, and that one is long gone.
It's the same. It's the same tax ID. I mean, this company, this iteration of T-Mobile, this is really the first year they've been, free cash flow positive, and so that's great for them. but I think it's going to take a little bit longer before we can start saying, okay, they really can punch with the big boys, AT&T and Verizon. So, I mean, to answer the original question, I think that there will be other carriers that would definitely try to get in and try to see if they can grab some of the spectrum, because everybody is spectrum starved. Everybody's, looking to try to get as many or as much access to spectrum as possible. Especially considering as how the last 4 years there really hasn't been a spectrum auction. Everybody's going to be chomping at the bit, especially in the mid-band ranges.
I have to agree. I think there's going to be more fighting to it than just making it a slam dunk. Like AT&T is going to be able to just take it all easily. I don't think it's going to be that simple.
Well, we know the Moose effect. Everything is a slam dunk.
Well, not the mmWave on iPhone. Not
But I will say this though.
Not the T-Mobile version with spectrum.
Go ahead, Moose.
I was saying that I will say this. I think the main priority for next year is the DoD spectrum that T-Mobile sold to those other holding companies, like the swap that they did for the N41, right?
Right.
Because that is significantly higher megahertz. You can instantly. Well, actually, let me pause for that. So, regardless if it's AWS3 or DoD, it's going to be an instant speed boost. The problem, though, is a majority of customers on both Verizon and AT&T have yet to upgrade their phones to C-band multi-carrier aggregation devices.
So you're saying iPhone 13 and newer or 14 and newer?
iPhone 14 and newer.
Okay.
Yeah, significant millions of customers. And the
problem, iPhone 12s and 13s and 11s.
Yeah. Right. And the issue with that is that you're now still having to wait on the refarm to go into completely NR on AT&T and Verizon. Not until that happens will you start seeing, for example, when Verizon gets comfortable enough, you're going to start seeing them refarm to N66.
Well, they already backtracked the whole spectrum move with Band 5 in a lot of places, so we've seen them, toe the water and then dip out because of regressions in the network performance.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I agree. I agree with Moose. It's only a matter of time before those refarms begin to happen.
3 years from now.
I won't put a time frame on it. I don't know, but I will say it's only a matter of time. I think the only frequency that's going to remain LTE is probably going to be the 700 carrier. Everything else is going to go 5G. So I don't know what's stopping. Maybe it's the FTC, maybe it's the FCC. I don't know. One of those C's. I don't know. I don't know what's stopping these carriers though from just saying, hey, if you got an iPhone 11 or something stupid like that, why not just ship somebody? Just start shipping customers certified pre-owned 14s and say, shut up and take this phone and activate it, or we're going to turn it off. I mean, this one's not working anymore.
I mean, why not? There was a 3G moment for that. I mean, it did. Yeah, we've seen that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, why not just start doing that? I mean, it's a certified pre-owned device. Here it is. It's going to get you X, Y, and Z. We'll ship it to you at no cost. But this one here, we're not going to support it anymore. I mean, why not? Who's losing by doing that?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So, see, the problem though is that LTE is not going to go away until probably 2040 at this rate.
Right, but I think what B is saying is that you just have like the LTE only devices maybe that are like on contracts with like businesses, like the alarms, like the point of sales, like the meters, right? That just went LTE recently. Like they're still covered with that low band IoT kind of usage, but we got to get the phones that are consuming data off of LTE and onto NR.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. That's the solution. So the 700 frequency is probably going to be the last frequency to move to 5G if it ever does, until, to Moose's point, 2040, for example. So everything else, like a traditional smartphone, why not just start shipping out certified pre-owned devices? Hey, here's the new phone. Activate this one because your current phone is no longer going to work after this date. So here's a new one. It is what it is. I mean, it's not going to cost the customer any money. It's a certified pre-owned device. You can offer insurance to it if the customer decides they want to purchase it. But I mean, it ends this ridiculous cycle of people sitting on these phones for X amount of time and delaying progress. You know?
Yeah, that's why I think it might be before 2040. But I don't know. Verizon might take this spectrum, this AWS3.
You think so?
Because like the last time they bought some was what, 2015? Maybe they'll want more. Maybe they'll want to buff that up a little bit.
I can't see why they wouldn't want to at least try, because it's mid-band spectrum. Why wouldn't anybody want to get as much mid-band spectrum as they possibly could in preparation for it going over to NR and carrier aggregating with C-band and AWS2 and AWS1 and PCS and all the other stuff? I mean, you got to get as much of it as you can.
It's AWS1, AWS3, AWS-H. There's like all these blocks in there, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of different bands, correct.
Right, well, AWS3 was specifically, I had to pull up, there were a few frequencies it was, but basically Verizon bought a pretty big chunk of it.
2.1.
Yeah.
It was the downlink uplink. It's the downlink uplink band.
Yeah. And Verizon bought like a pretty sizable chunk of it almost 10 years ago. So I don't know, maybe they want to look back on that, maybe start deploying some, get that mid-band out there.
Network Nerd said Verizon will need to seriously densify, in my opinion. Verizon doesn't have N5, so he's saying maybe they should be in on this.
It's not true.
I don't know.
I think Verizon takes this.
Oh, okay, so the experts are leaning AT&T, and then looks like our panels not saying it's that clear.
The experts are wrong all the time. They said Frontier shareholders are going to say no, and they said yes to the tune of like 66%. So who cares what experts say? They're not experts. They guess just like everybody else.
All right. Okay. Let's get to this story. All right. This one is, I think, kind of poetic justice. EchoStar, CWA, and others move against T-Mobile's U.S. Cellular purchase. So U.S. Cellular and T-Mobile have a deal valued at $4.5 billion. T-Mobile gets access to U.S. Cellular towers on a lease. They get access to a bunch of bandwidth, a bunch of spectrum licenses that would really help T-Mobile's network performance in the areas where U.S. Cellular has those licenses. They'll get the U.S. Cellular customers, right? Basically, T-Mobile becomes a legitimate competitor with both Verizon and AT&T in these U.S. Cellular regions. And then off of that deal, Verizon has a $1 billion deal with U.S. Cellular, and AT&T has a $1 billion deal with U.S. Cellular. Those two deals can't happen unless this one happens first. So those can go out the window if this were to get blocked. But I think the most hilarious thing, and what I refer to as poetic justice, is EchoStar, Dish, and T-Mobile are not friendly. They're not friends at all. And they have they've had problems in the past for the last several years. There was a time where T-Mobile didn't want to pay Dish to continue to use their 600 megahertz licenses. Dish literally said, hey, it's been nice. Glad you've been enjoying using our spectrum. We haven't been charging you for it. Now you've been using it for more than a year. We'd like you to start paying for it. T-Mobile said, no, we don't want to pay for it. That got the whole ball rolling in the wrong direction. They have not been friends ever since that point. In my opinion, I think T-Mobile has been trying to put their neck into Dish's, or excuse me, their knee into Dish's neck, been trying to choke them out, get rid of them from the industry. They gave them a horrible deal on the network usage, the leasing and things of that nature. It's just been really bad. I know Metro was trying to poach customers from Boost during their whole thing a couple years ago, and fishing for them. And it's just been bad. So in my opinion, I don't think T-Mobile could be surprised that Dish is coming in and trying to spoil the fun. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Like, I don't think under this new administration that's coming in, anything's going to get blocked. Mm-hmm. I think as long as it's a reasonable deal, they're just going to go ahead and permit it. I don't think the DOJ is going to stop them. I don't think the FCC is going to stop them.
Cha-cha, there is one key thing, though. I was listening to the NBC interview of President Trump. He said regarding the TikTok ban, right? So it's very relevant because of the merger comment that he said there. He said,
well, because of Deutsche Telekom being a foreign company?
No. Wait. Hold on. In regards to TikTok, he said, we have to get a U.S. company to buy it. However, he said, I don't want other companies to become even more monopolistic. That's the key right there. Because if you think about what he just said right there, they could shut down the T-Mobile merger or the T-Mobile buying of U.S. Cellular.
Yeah, but Moose,
because
both Verizon.
No, but hold up. Let me explain the argument first.
T-Mobile's there.
Let me explain the argument. T-Mobile can build out the same way that Verizon and AT&T had to do it in those markets that U.S. Cellular has. Mm-hmm. And even Trump said that if you invest several $billions in the United States, you will get a significant tax break instead of buying. So that's a big point. 2 points right there. Now let me give you the third point. Let me give you the third point. Deutsche Telekom is 33% owned and passively by the German government. Yes, that was your main point there that you were going to bring up, but I'm saying that's a tertiary point, is because the primary 2 points, especially with the Trump administration that's coming in, they do not want companies to become even more monopolistic. And two, if they invest more money, if a U.S. company invests more money, they will get a higher tax deduction.
So here's what I want to add. So I've expressed how I do not want this to happen, but I sadly think it will, because Sneed made the point that, more mergers will be allowed to happen. It's really true. And, I have this pulled up. On May 20th of 2019, Brendan Carr, who is now about to be the chairman of the SEC, officially expressed his support for the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. So I don't know how it could. I don't know. I can't see it being different. Right. I think he's probably gonna let it go through. I don't know. I don't want this to happen. I think it could be handled differently, but I think it's gonna go the way it goes.
And Moose, you forgot one thing he said too. Moose, you forgot this. He said they were eating the cats. They were eating the dogs, the geese.
There was a remix for that too, bro. I heard it.
Oh, the song, the song.
So respectfully, nobody on Capitol Hill is going to listen to CWA and Echo Star,
right?
On why this. Nobody's going to listen to those guys. This is going to go through, and everybody knows it. Nobody's going to stop this from happening. There's a lot riding on it for all three companies. All three companies need what they purchased. I don't think anybody's going to cry because T-Mobile is absorbing U.S. Cellular. It's not like it's 50 million customers. It's like 3 million people. Nobody really is after that. They were after the spectrum. And so AT&T is stronger after that, after their portion of the deal is agreed and ratified. And the same thing with Verizon. And T-Mobile will be stronger as well. So this is going to go through because it needs to. It has to. U.S. Cellular doesn't want to be in business anymore. They don't. So this is kind of how it goes. Unfortunately, nobody goes out of business anymore. They get bought out. So
there
we go.
Yeah. As I said, I don't like that it's happening like this, but I think it's going to happen like this.
But there is a chance from that interview that certain deals could be blocked by the FTC. Right? And I'm just saying that from that very blatant statement, right, of we can't allow companies that are already monopolies to become bigger monopolies. It paraphrased, right? But my point is that statement is now in jeopardy for the Frontier merger with Verizon.
No, it's not.
And I'll tell you why. Because Verizon buying out another company is like, okay, if Verizon wanted to do this, they could. as in they could, accelerate their fiber expansion, paying more money. But instead, they're already a large company now, and they're going to become even bigger. That's the same ideology that he's trying to prevent.
It doesn't make Verizon a monopoly.
Moose.
Not even
Verizon
close.
Man, man, so I appreciate that.
Moose, Verizon and Frontier are 2 U.S. companies.
And it doesn't make Verizon a monopoly. Not even close. So
They're also
no, that's not gonna
communications
happen.
companies, and they're not big tech companies, as MS stated.
Mhm.
Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile combined don't touch as many consumers as Google, for example. So I don't think that the telecom industry is in the crosshairs of what President-elect Trump was alluding to when he said that. If anything, Chairman Carr, the leaders in Washington, D.C., especially under Trump, they want the telco companies to be stronger because they're still trying to compete for 5G supremacy, which I expect America and the American telecom industry to be able to achieve and maintain sustainably. But they're going to need to allow things like this to happen, and they need a fully functioning FCC with spectrum authority to be able to serve the American people the way that they need to be served. And this is the start of it. So the Frontier deal will go through, as will this deal. It'll happen.
Moose, you're on the spot. Speed Test Channel says T-Mobile buying Charter based on what Moose is saying.
Yeah, that's the other one. That's the other one. But here's the crazy part, though. In order for that to happen, more than likely T-Mobile is going to have to be bought out. The shares of Deutsche Telekom are going to have to be bought out.
Right, but it's not going to happen.
Because it's either Comcast or it's Spectrum, Charter Spectrum. So that's what's going to happen eventually. Remember, we've talked about this in very big detail about what's going to happen there. Something's going to happen there. But the other thing too is so let me just pivot just slightly. The FTC suing Google and the divestiture of Google, I believe, is still going to happen. So the first domino to fall with Google is the Chrome browser. I'm pretty sure they're going to have to give that up very soon. And then number two,
they'll just make another one.
I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But number two is all the payments that Google gives AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon to force all Android phones to exclusively use Google search. Same thing with Apple, right? Apple got a big, significant billions in payment. That's also going to go away. Mozilla Firefox is going to go out of business because 90% of their revenue came from that provision from Google. This has been fully documented.
Firefox, I ain't heard that in a minute. Good point, Moose.
Everything
they are literally on record. They literally laid off a significant portion of their staff because they know that this FTC thing is serious, and all the payments that Google was getting are gone after this FTC ruling.
So I think that everything that Moose is saying makes perfect sense. It really, really does, and that's why I don't think it's going to happen. I think that a lot of what Trump is saying sounds really good, but if he actually goes through with what he's saying, it'll be like the most anti-Republican thing I've ever seen. I mean, when have they ever been interested in breaking up companies? That's not really a Republican thing. So
maybe Trump's moderate, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, even moderate Republicans haven't really been clamoring to break up companies, at least not at scale. So, I mean, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. It makes too much sense for it to happen, at least not under Republican control. Maybe if the Democrats are able to win in 2028, maybe it happens then. But I don't think this is high on Trump's radar. He seems to want, if anything, to stimulate the economy, not keep big businesses from getting even bigger and becoming more dominant on the international scale.
Yeah, but his ways of doing it are going to be, different, non-associated with these particular moves.
Yeah, I think there's truth to that, Sneed, but I just don't see President-elect Trump prioritizing breaking up Google. I just don't see it. I mean, if anything, he's the type of guy, and the Republicans have been the type
the last group would have been a little bit more aggressive with it, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen under Biden, and so I definitely don't think it's going to happen under the
No.
Republican administration.
It's already in progress with Biden's administration. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's the process has already started. The
And who cares?
judge,
It doesn't
and
matter.
everybody, the court case is done. Now they're just trying to figure out how to break it
the
up.
structure. Yeah, got you.
Yeah, like they're trying to structure it how to break up Google. And that's why The Verge did a really good article, I believe last week, where it's like the first domino, I'm paraphrasing, right? But the first domino to fall is Chrome. Then after that, they're going to touch Android operating system. Then after that, they're going to touch the actual Google search platform, right? So it's basically like, oh shit, it's actually going to happen. And by the way, because this happened in Biden's DOJ and it's already been done, if the new attorney general changes course, it will take time. But in January, February, it's still going to happen. Like the dominoes are going to fall.
I won't hold my breath. Again, Moose, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I actually think you make a lot of sense, and I agree with your logic here. And I think that a lot of the things that you've been talking about that has been discussed under Biden's administration, I get it. But we're like 3 weeks away from that administration being gone. And so when Trump's people actually take control, is that progress going to continue, or are they going to halt it? They have the ability to do that. Like they can, and they've done it before. Republicans have done it before. What's to stop them from doing it again? I just don't see this as a high priority for them. I really, really don't. If it happens and I'm wrong, I'll be the first person to admit it. I just don't see this as a high priority. I really, really don't, guys. I really don't.
All right, we'll see what happens. We'll continue to track it.
Not to mention as well, every single CEO has had dinner with President-elect Trump in the last 2 weeks, right? I mean, goddamn, Elon Musk is literally living there at Mar-a-Lago, right?
So
you know,
it's true, very true.
Starlink is going to become big time, man. Like he's going to be getting a lot of waivers.
Yeah, Tesla stock's up like 290,000.
Yeah,
since this one.
Man,
exactly,
man.
Yeah, let me pivot, man. Let me get to this next thing. All right. So this is gonna be the last story of tonight.
Oh man, this is okay. Go ahead, Sneed. Go ahead.
All right. The statement from CEO of T-Mobile, Mike Sievert, quoted saying, "Our churn is lower where Verizon has fiber." Okay, so this was from like that investor conference statements. Sievert was speaking in front of the investor community. A lot of investors closely watch T-Mobile. They see them as a growth company. Now they're seeing them as a dividend company. They see them as a profitability, upside type of company. Speed Test Channel, you sent this one over to me. The statements we've been getting from AT&T and Verizon have been like echoes, basically. Look, we really like what we do with our fiber. Where we have fiber, we take share. We have high penetration rates. Where we have fiber, we also have low wireless, take rates and high wireless take rates and low customer churn. Customers like bundling and converging and all of those things. And then I think what ended up happening is I think T-Mobile felt a little bit left out because they don't really have fiber yet, right? They've got a joint venture with EQT. And they're doing the pilot fiber thing. They've got open access platform operations. They're buying Metronet and Lumos. They got all these things going on. They felt a little bit left out. They wanted to make sure they got their little dibs in. And T-Mobile says, quote, "Our churn is lower where Verizon has fiber," in response to Verizon saying their churn is lower where they have fiber. So B, I will start with you, sir. I'm guessing, if you're looking at this objectively, two things, can they actually be true or are they exclusive? Verizon says their churn is lower where they have fiber. T-Mobile is saying, well, we have lower churn where Verizon has fiber. What's your take?
This is a cheap attempt to try to minimize the impact of being a fiber owner. But if fiber wasn't important, why is T-Mobile trying to purchase fiber?
In a lot of different ways.
It doesn't even make sense. It's a cheap attempt to try to remain relevant in this particular segment of the market. And it's very, very unfortunate. That said, it is the truth When you're able to converge with multiple products, generally you do have lower churn. And that's regardless of whether it's Verizon or AT&T. So Verizon is telling the truth. I don't see how anybody can say anything any differently. There was a time when T-Mobile was the leader in churn. That's not the case anymore. It's AT&T now. And even still, the difference last quarter between the three carriers was 0.11%. So everybody's doing fairly well in churn, and it's very competitive right now as far as retaining and keeping your customers. So, I mean, whatever. At the end of the day, T-Mobile wishes that they had the same assets as an AT&T or a Verizon. They wish they did. They're fighting to try to get in that space, and until then, they're going to take little stupid jabs like this, and it won't hold water because they're trying to purchase fiber as we speak. So,
anybody else want to jump in? I just wanted to start with B, but anybody else can jump in.
I mean, this statement just doesn't make sense. Like, they're talking about Verizon has converged customers in these markets, but T-Mobile's churn, where they don't have converged services in the same markets, is also low.
Well,
and like, if
it's lower than their baseline, so that means in places where Verizon doesn't have fiber, you know, T-Mobile's churn is higher than in places where Verizon does have fiber. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I feel like that. You know, he's probably putting on extra deodorant right now, but like, I don't know. This statement just didn't make sense to me. I gotta agree with B. I don't think that was a good call to say that. And obviously,
if a customer has FiOS and they have Verizon Wireless,
they're not going to cancel.
They could take them.
Nah, the customers with converged services.
That those customers don't want to go to they don't want to go to Verizon. They want to go to T-Mobile. Like, what are they saying?
No, the customers with converged services are going to stay because they're getting a discount when they bundle, and you know, it's a bill from one company.
Right.
If they got problems, they're only dealing with one company. Right. Of course, people want converged services, and AT&T goes on and on about that, but it's true for every company.
Oh, damn, we got a super chat. When do you think Dish will deploy their millimeter wave? Not happening, Chief. You know, I got love for you, Green. I just don't think it's happening, dog. Not anytime soon. I mean, where are they going to get that capital?
I think it's going to be the first thing. I think it's going to be the first thing they sell to try to stay afloat when they really start getting down to it.
The industry cares about millimeter wave? I thought that was just a Verizon thing.
Well, Green cares about millimeter wave. Moose, let me get you in on this, bro. This T-Mobile, you know, lower churn where Verizon has fiber. I mean, what's real?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you guys agree that T-Mobile in the Northeast prices their fixed wireless aggressively to combat Verizon FiOS?
Well, they have nationwide pricing, so.
Yeah, but it's like $30.
$35 for the entry-level tier currently, right?
Right.
But FiOS is $35. That's the entry level price too. So I mean, it's the same price.
Right. But the wireless, Verizon's wireless is more expensive than T-Mobile's, right?
It's like a $20 difference. It's got a better.
No. From
it is a big difference. But
they're doing 4 phones for $100 right now.
Right. Well, and so. Yeah, and Moose, I would normally say that's true, but right now, this is specific to like Verizon's Christmas offers. Right now, and this is rare, we've never seen this from Verizon. They're doing 4 lines. Everyone in the family, everyone in the family will get an iPhone 16 Pro on them when they trade in any phone, any condition, on unlimited welcome. That's the cheapest plan, $30 a line for 4 lines.
Ooh,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, like, I wouldn't normally be coming to B's defense like that, but this is the first time Verizon has ever done something like that. It used to only be reserved for the highest plan. Now, customers paying $30 a line plus taxes and fees will get free iPhones for the whole family when they trade in any phone, any condition. The latest.
So basically, it's a $20, let's say even $30 difference with the tax and fees included, right?
Well, but T-Mobile's cheapest. Hold on.
Right. Okay.
Hold on. T-Mobile's cheapest plan doesn't include taxes and fees. That's only the Go 5G plans.
Right. So it's a $20 difference then, right?
Well, so
that's what B just said, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm agreeing with B on that one. But what I'm saying is, though, in this economy right now, dude, people can't even buy the iPhone right now because they can't pay the taxes.
Man.
Okay, so if that's the case, if we're having issues, can't pay this, can't pay that, I don't hear any other carriers, sounding the alarm except for T-Mobile. They sounded the alarm at the UBS
They
conference.
did. They sounded the alarm. Yeah.
That's true, but I didn't hear that from Stanky, and I didn't hear that from Hans.
No, Stanky didn't say that. Hans didn't say that, but the stank. But it's very interesting that the most price-conscious carrier, right, T-Mobile, and the most price-conscious customers, I have a very strong feeling that T-Mobile is not going to be number one in gross in net ads this quarter.
Wait, hold on.
I think it's going to be AT&T.
Who's got the most price-sensitive customers?
T-Mobile.
The legacy T-Mobile customer is price-sensitive, not
the existing ones.
No, I'm with you. The existing ones that have been there for a long time, but the new ones that have switched from Verizon and AT&T, they go into a T-Mobile store, and all the T-Mobile reps do is say, how much are you paying at AT&T and Verizon? And then they sell them a plan that saves them $10 a line. They're not price sensitive anymore once they've switched to T-Mobile, because the other guys were more expensive. That's why they left them.
But Sneed, the majority of their base is the legacy customer.
It is.
So I agree. I agree with Moose on that point.
Right.
That's the majority of their base. It's not.
Those guys ain't switching, Moose. B. They're never going to leave those plans, even if they have to pay an extra $5 a line. They're still not going to beat that pricing. Some of those people have 11 lines, and they're paying $125 a month.
Agreed, and you're right. But to Moose's point, I think that their growth is slowing down. That's why they've already started to sound the alarm. They've never really done that before.
Right.
So to Moose's point, I think AT&T overtakes them here in the fourth quarter, and I think perhaps Verizon's neck and neck with them.
But I'm telling you guys, they're offering the third line free, dude. They're adding 3 lines at a time on these accounts. It's easy for them to do the whole 800,000 net ads thing all the time. Why are they sounding the alarm? Why are they sounding the alarm? Where I stand, bro. When you start selling your home internet for $35, when it was selling for $60 a month ago, you're signaling that sales are slower. Mm-hmm. And actually, to be honest with you, I knew what time it was, and you can check the receipts on the video when they changed the terms and started geo-locking devices on the home internet, because they need that capacity and they want to monetize it. They don't
have a fiber product to pitch. All they have is wireless. AT&T and Verizon are in a much better position now. The AT&T is now focused on their core business, and hopefully they're building like they should be. I really do see a situation where things turn back to where they probably should be, at least from an asset standpoint. And you have Verizon and AT&T as the growth leaders, as the revenue leaders, as the profitability leaders that really Verizon's always been, but also AT&T. That's where we're going again, going into 2025. And then you're going to start seeing T-Mobile, and they've already started poking at pricing all over again, because there's no incentive for any customer to go to T-Mobile if the pricing is extremely competitive between the three, but there is a precipitous difference in network performance between the three. Nobody's going to say no to a Verizon or an AT&T network if they can get it for a competitive price to what they'd be able to get from T-Mobile. Everybody knows what T-Mobile is now, and they don't have the assets to support the growth that they've got or that they've been able to achieve. And so I think we'll see things start to swing in 2025. It's the first time we ever heard Seifert say, hey, guys, just letting you know, we may not make our numbers this quarter.
In the fourth quarter? That was crazy.
In the fourth, and he did it at UBS. It wasn't just one of those articles that they put in it. He did it at UBS. I mean, I'm telling you, man, if I'm Stanky, if I'm Hans, I'm blood is in the water. I see it.
Pedal to the metal?
Yeah, like blood's in the water. You got them where you want them, and now you can really start to hammer home that network dominance. Hopefully AT&T is galvanized and can join the party as far as fixed wireless. They've already changed their tone and their rhetoric. Now all of a sudden,
more positive towards it, right?
Yeah, now all of a sudden they're trying to do what Verizon's been doing for the last few years. Now everybody's marching to the beat of Verizon's drum as far as strategy is concerned. So who's got the best value proposition now? As it pertains to network, as it pertains to price, as it pertains to availability for streaming services. I mean, who's got the best value proposition now?
But that's why I keep saying that T-Mobile has to buy a cable provider to do the offloading. And also, right, not only offloading from the macro network, they'll be able to say, hey, Mr. Customer, we're going to switch you to T-Mobile Internet, all in right now. It's going to be rebranded T-Internet, right? We're going to get you hooked up to cable, and then it's going to be a fixed wireless backup whenever you need. It's going to be standard throughout the footprint of either Charter Spectrum or Comcast, whichever one they buy. And
But
then,
they've got it.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Moose. I'm sorry about that. Apologize.
No. Go ahead.
I was going to say they've got to come up with the capital for that. And to your point, which I agree with you on, they've got to get the guys across the pond out of their business. So they've got to take a page from Verizon when they bought out Vodafone. They've got to do the same thing with their guys across the pond. They got to be able to control their own stuff, and they need more capital to do what you said, which is why I think that's at least 3 years away.
Or they do an all stock deal because their stock is at an all-time high.
Maybe.
They're buying shares back, bro.
Which was such a stupid thing to do. Why would you do that?
Why would back at 200 whatever, and I'm talking like what, $14 billion of them?
Why wouldn't you take that money and reinvest it back into your core business? Buy a fiber.
Man,
Like, why would
we thought we were gonna see some kind of like network resurgence, like
like I mean, put that money into so that you can close the gap. There's still a huge gap in coverage between T-Mobile and the other guys.
When they said they were going to put $60 billion into the investor, they were serious, bro.
That is ridiculous. Okay, I mean,
by the way, B, that is a great point you just made. So I've been driving from Dallas, right? I'm about 2 hours and a half away from El Paso right now. And T-Mobile has significant gaps because the tower spacing, they think that with N71, it's going to be enough.
Nope.
But it's not. It's not. And by the way, I mentioned this to Tyrone because I tried to call Sneed, but he was busy before the podcast. They have random areas on the drive with multi-gig fiber provisioned and N41. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense. There's literally nobody enough people on this road to justify the OpEx cost to have multi-gig backhaul in the middle of literally nowhere. I literally think that it's just for the speed tests to say that nationwide on average, they're like 600, 700, 800 Mbps. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
To kind of comment to Tech Guy 32's statement about the cost of FWA, $60 a month, I just remind you that the average cost of cable internet is over $86.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Pricing, so it could be 90, 95 now. The prices aren't going down. So, if we're just looking at averages, Tech Guy 32, which I think FWA, I think 60 is average. Hans did say that a bulk majority of customers are taking the top tier, which is $70, and a bulk majority of customers don't have their wireless service too with the FWA. They're at like 15% convergence with FWA. So, it's just those are some of the elements I think that you have to consider before making that evaluation. 60 might be too expensive for you on a personal level, but it on average still finds itself about 30% cheaper than cable.
Yep, and that's why it continues to sell and take share. That's why AT&T is getting into it now, because it makes sense. There are so many customers in the country that would gladly take 300 over 50, gladly, and would gladly pay $60. I mean, respectfully, Tech Guy 32, I do disagree. I mean, $60 is more than reasonable.
I just look at it from average. I don't. It's like, if it's me personally, I mean, if fiber is available, 99.9% of the time, I'm leaning towards fiber. The only way is if the fiber is less reliable for some reason, or the pricing dichotomy is just so extreme. That's it.
If it's Cox Fiber, if it's Cox Fiber, you won't do it.
Right.
But if you got Yeah, but if you got access to Fios or you got access to AT&T fiber, of course you're going to take that first. You'd be crazy not to, because those two products are competitively priced too. You can get AT&T fiber for $35-$40 on the entry level plan. You can get Fios for $35-$40 on the entry level plan, and you can get fixed wireless for that price point too. Yeah, like I mean,
no, you cannot.
Yeah, like I mean, honestly, guys,
Fios you can, but not AT&T fiber.
What, they're not selling it at $35? I thought they had it at $35.
No,
it's at 40 now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So $5. That's why I said $35 to $40. That's still reasonable for a fiber to the prim solution. And so I think the business model that Verizon and AT&T have are going to stand the test of time. In 2025, they overtake T-Mobile as the growth leaders. They're already more profitable than T-Mobile is. Then it's going to, like, the ball's going to be in their court. And I mean, I think from a value proposition standpoint, I still think Verizon has a better overall value proposition. But as long as AT&T kicks up their game with respect to building out their mid-band network, they're right there. They're right there. They already have they've got the brand strength. They can do it.
Yeah, and
just not as well as Verizon.
Shout out to Anthony Bender. We haven't seen you in a while, man. Good to see you. Hope all is well in your world. Yeah, I mean, there's, the FWA is precisely the opposite of cable. It's the anti-cable. So it's the pricing piece. It's the plug and play piece. They send you a box, you plug it in, you put it by the window, you forget it even exists, right? And that's all people care about. They love that. And there's a segment of customers that just love that application. And then some people move it, and some people are, especially FWA for business, right? That definitely has its use case too.
Okay. I think if speed wasn't important to the consumer, then there wouldn't be so much speed testing going on. And to be honest, how many customers say they don't need a Cadillac and end up purchasing a Cadillac? So I personally don't listen to customers when they start kind of, I don't listen to people.
Camry makes an SE, bro. You get a Camry.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Toyota makes Lexus. Or in a lot of they sell a lot of Lexus vehicles. So people say all the time, only when it comes to price, they don't want to pay a lot, but they certainly want to get a lot. So people can. Customers say that, I don't need.
What's going on the t-shirt? What's it gonna say?
More chicken.
I actually had a debate.
Sneed, you gotta start selling those. I'm gonna buy 20.
It's like 20.
I had a debate with an average consumer on that the other day, and I was asking him, wait a minute, why are you paying for the 2 gig and considering upgrading to the 5 gig? And his response blew my mind. He was like, listen, I know that my computer is capable of up to 10 gig on the Ethernet directly plugged in. And the maximum that I'm able to download is 2.4 gigs, right? 2.6 maybe, right? 2.4 gigs on the down. And then I told him, because I have the 5 gig, right, that I'm able to achieve during Steam downloads or even through the Xbox app downloads on the computer only, right? I'm actually able to get up to 4 gigs of downloading. So he's like, cost benefit, time is money. You know what I mean? He's like, I'd rather pay an extra $100 because I'm going to be saving an extra 10 to 20 minutes of download time when I'm downloading Black Ops 6 updates or when I'm downloading other large games. I don't have any issues. You know what I mean? Like he's going to get it instantly.
You're going to need that for GTA 6 though when that comes out. But by then 10 gigabit will probably be like $20 a month. Yeah, by the time GTA 6 comes out, 10 gigabit will be like $20 a month or something crazy.
Which leads back to what I was saying before. Consumers say that all the time. Oh, I don't need the Cadillac, but okay. They end up purchasing the Cadillac. So it is what it is. Guys, I got to hop off. I got to get back to work. I appreciate all the conversation, guys. Have a good rest of the night.
Come on, man.
Well, the show's
I gotta go. I gotta go, guys.
Don't feel bad, B. We're good. It's been an hour and a half. It's been a great show. Thanks to everybody for the super chats. I wasn't able to get to the target. We were shooting for 10 super chats on the goals. We got to 4. So thank you guys for those 4. hopefully next time we can get to the goals set. That would really, really help out the channel, of course, and it would be cool to hit that landmark. But thanks to B, thanks to Moose, Max, Tana, who was here earlier, and everybody who was here on the panel that joined us on the conversation. Shout out to the SMT Nation Patreon supporters. Shout out to the members. Shout out to Green, as well as EM Tech and the rest of the folks that offered the super chat speed test channel. Thank you for all the support. You guys are great. We really do appreciate you all. And hopefully we're probably going to do a Patreon stream tomorrow. It'll probably be like in the evening. So if you guys want more access to this type of content, these live streams and other benefits and perks and videos, we're doing that on Patreon and on the YouTube membership. So hit it, support it there, and get the extra access. And there's a lot going on in the industry. We're making ways to make more content and bringing it to you guys here on these platforms. So stay tuned for more of it. And if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe. And if you've been here and you want to help out the channel, likes and shares always do help us. Thank you guys for watching and hanging out with us for a bit. We'll see you all in the next one.